Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Aruba Instant On. Today's host is David Wynn, and he is Aruba Instant On's SMB Category Manager in North America, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and David will be able to answer them at the end of today's presentation. David, thank you so much for being with us today. We're very excited to see what you have to present to us. So please go ahead and take it on over.
Thank you, Julie. So quick introduction of myself. My name is David Wynn. I am the category manager for the SMB category, which includes Aruba Instant On for North America. I handle everything from pricing to promotions to product launching in the region, which is why I'm here today to present our portfolio to you. So as an agenda, just in case you aren't aware of the Aruba brand, we're going to go over that very, very quickly. And then we'll jump into the wireless portfolio as it stands today. We do have a couple of new products that I want to introduce. And then on the wired portfolio side, not much has changed since last year, but I will do a quick refresh there just to give everybody a good high-level overview of what we have on the wired side as well. And then we do have some new transceivers that I want to go over that pair very nicely with our wired switches. And then after that, we'll go into the Q&A. All right, so who are we? If you haven't heard of Aruba before, we fall under the umbrella of Hewlett Packard Enterprise. When you think about Hewlett Packard Enterprise, they focus on compute and storage, cloud security and cloud services for the enterprise world. And Aruba is the networking hardware arm of that business. So Aruba handles all the networking hardware for very large enterprises, very big logos like Apple, Disney, Home Depot. Those type of customers, Aruba handles that part of it, and they handle from data center to enterprise type of networks. But Aruba Instant On is, you can think of it as a startup within Aruba. We're focused on targeting residential and SMB customers, and when we say SMB, there's a lot of different definitions of that depending on who you talk to. But our definition of SMB is anything less than 200 clients. The Aruba Instant On product line isn't hard limited by that kind of definition. I would say that we focus more on smaller deployments and every vertical in that space, as long as it's a small to medium deployment. I mean, if you get to a large kind of campus network, you're going to go with an Aruba Enterprise product. That's where Aruba Instant On does not play. But if it's a small medical facility, a dentist office, a beauty clinic, a small retail store, anything like that, that's exactly where we want to play with Aruba Instant On. So I'm going to give everyone here the quick elevator pitch for Instant On. You have a lot of options out there when you buy equipment for residential and for the SMB market. But why would you want to buy Instant On at all and give us a try? I'm going to give you kind of 4 keys to that, okay? Number 1 is simplicity. Think of it as if Eero and Ubiquiti had a baby. That baby would be Instant On. Our cloud management portal is extremely easy to use. We support mobile app and web portal. The experience is exactly the same on both of those platforms. And the way that we onboard our customers when they add network devices, when they create network sites, is extremely easy. You can get up and running in just a few minutes. I mean, I've demoed the product for a lot of partners and for a lot of customers. And for those who are novices to networking, even they were able to get a network up and running in just a few minutes. So it's a really, really simple product to use. But at the same time, if you want to go in and tweak your settings and get more granular and get more advanced, you can do that as well. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. We try to make it as simple as possible for people who don't have a lot of IT expertise, but at the same time, we do also expose a lot of the more advanced features. So if you did want to do that, you could absolutely, tweak your network and optimize it further. So that's number one, simplicity. Number two is hardware quality. We take the exact same designs for our Instant-On products as the ones that we use on the enterprise side. And what's really, really nice is that by the time a product launches on Aruba Instant-On, it's already been battle tested by large enterprise customers. So you're rarely going to see a lot of issues at launch for an Aruba Instant-On product because we've already fixed all of those problems, given all of the experience that we've got from deploying it on the enterprise side. So that's really, really nice. All of our access points are Wi-Fi certified. So that's something that you can't really say about our competitors in this space. A lot of them may or may not Wi-Fi certify their products. And if you're curious, you can always go to the wi-fi.org, the Wi-Fi Alliance website, and check in their database whether they're certified or not. But all of our access points, all of our Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6 access points are all Wi-Fi certified because we want to make sure that, as a partner and as a customer, you have the best experience at the launch of the product in terms of performance and compatibility. So we are very serious about making sure that all of our products are certified with the Wi-Fi Alliance. And then also on the switching side, all of our switches are certified with the Ethernet Alliance as well. So we take that approach on the wired portfolio as well. So number two is hardware quality, unparalleled in this space. Number three is going to be support. Now we offer for the first 90 days 24/7 phone support for the products. So you have somebody that you can actually reach out to if you have problems. That warranty start date occurs when you onboard the device to the cloud, not when you purchase the product, which is really nice, right? So if you've got a project that you're working on and you're going to work on it the next day, that's fine. But if you're looking to stock up on products for future projects, you can do that as well. Your warranty start date doesn't start when you purchase a product, but it starts when you deploy the product in the cloud. So for the first 90 days, you get access to 24/7 phone support for free. It's included. After that, you get access to unlimited online chat for the remainder of the warranty. So for our access points, we give 2-year warranties, which is already better than a lot of the competitors that only offer a 1-year warranty on their access points. And on our switches, we offer a limited lifetime warranty, which is far beyond what our competitors do on the wired side. So that's number three. So number four is total cost of ownership. So like I mentioned, you get the support, you get the hardware quality, you get to use a cloud management platform that's completely free. There are no license fees, no subscription fees that you have to pay for. You get all of that with the purchase of the hardware. So all of that's included. So the total cost of ownership is very low because of that. You don't have to buy any extra controller. You don't have to run any additional software to control your devices. Everything's included in box. So that total cost of ownership is low, and it's also very upfront, very predictable, right? So that way you don't have to worry about any hidden gotchas, any hidden fees after the fact. It's what you buy is what you get in the box with the hardware. All right, moving on to the portfolio. This is a high-level overview of what we have for the wireless portfolio. As you can see, we've got a couple of new products in the mix for this year. And with these new products, that essentially completes the Wi-Fi 6 portfolio of the wireless. You'll also notice that we do have Wi-Fi 5 options as well. We will continue to sell Wi-Fi 5 probably up until the end of this year. As we sell through our inventory, we've ensured that there's a very healthy price gap between Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6 right now because we want to make sure that we sell through all of our stock. So if you have a partner or a project or an end user that is very budget constrained, they can definitely find a deal if they want to go with Wi-Fi 5, especially if they're deploying in a use case where you could have older Wi-Fi 4 Wi-Fi 5 and maybe some Wi-Fi 6 clients, maybe they won't see the benefit of going with a Wi-Fi 6 solution and they want to save money. You can absolutely go for the highest capacity Wi-Fi 5 access point in our portfolio, which is the AP15. That's definitely viable. But otherwise, if they want to make sure that they get the most performance per dollar, especially if a majority of the clients are Wi-Fi 6, which they are in the market today, highly recommend that you go with at least a Wi-Fi 6 solution. With that said, I'm going to go over the indoor omnidirectional access points kind of on the left side here, and I'm going to go from left to right to kind of show you the positioning of each access point. So for the AP21, this access point goes head to head with the Ubiquiti U6 Plus. So pricing wise, it's very competitive in that space. We essentially created this product, it's new, to be kind of our low cost, low price fighter for the market. So it's going to give you a very nice entry point in terms of price if you want to get into Wi-Fi 6. So I highly recommend, especially if you're going head to head against a U6 Plus or you're trying to flip a project or what have you, the AP21 will be perfect for that. So this access point is designed for smaller spaces and maybe for use cases of up to 1 to 2 access points max. We don't have any restriction on how many access points you can use, obviously, in the environment. But our target for the AP21 is for really those smaller type of deployments. So it could be maybe a food stall where you've only got a couple of point of sale systems and maybe a couple of mobile devices for the employees. That would be a good use case for the AP21. Maybe it's a small studio apartment, less than 1,500 square feet that can be covered all by one access point. That's also a good use case. So again, AP21 is really more designed for those smaller use cases. Maybe you want to set it and forget it, even though you can cloud manage this product anytime, anywhere, all over the world. The AP21 is more designed for that type of price point. So from there, if you have a more professional environment that you're deploying in, whether it's a medical office or a corporate office or anything like that, we highly recommend that you move up to the AP22 and the AP25. The AP22 is by far the best seller for us in our portfolio, and the AP25 is also gaining a lot of traction because of the Wi-Fi, the additional Wi-Fi capacity that you can get from a 4x4 design. So for those type of use cases, I would highly recommend using the AP25 for higher density areas where a lot of clients are going to be. Maybe for a front lobby of a corporate office or a small to medium conference room would be a perfect use case for an AP25. And then you can use the AP22 for all of the other areas that are medium to low density. So you can have a mixed environment of AP25s and AP22s covering those use cases. And then last on the omnidirectional access points, we've got the AP32. This is our first Wi-Fi 6E access point. So if you've got a use case where Wi-Fi 6E is a requirement, then this will be the access point that you'll go with. And just some use cases that I can think off the top of my head. If you're looking to deploy in an e-gaming center that's got a dedicated floor for VR gaming headsets, you may want to create a dedicated 6E environment for that. 6E is very good for low latency and high speed, which for our VR gaming headsets, that's kind of the key to make sure that you have a great experience, a great gaming experience. That would be a really good use case for the AP32. And that could also be said about the home, right? If you're deploying in a residential environment and they want to make a dedicated room for VR, or they want to make sure that they support their flagship phones or their high-end gaming laptop and make sure that they get the best wireless performance, the lowest latency that they can have for their gaming, that could also be a nice use case for using the AP32. All right, moving on to the desk wall-mounted semi-directional access points. We've got the AP22D, and this access point is not omnidirectional, so it's not meant to be deployed in the center of the coverage that you're looking for. It's really meant to be deployed in wall or on a desk at the edge of a room. Because it's semi-directional, it's not going to cover the wireless clients very well behind it, but it's going to shoot the wireless coverage forward through the front. So it's very well suited for, if you've got a conference room that's a bit longer in length, you would have this access point kind of in the front of the room, in the wall, and then shooting towards, the length of the room. That's the type of use case that you would use this AP22D in. It's also very unique compared to our other access points because it can support 4 downlink ports. So it's got Ethernet ports on them that you can use. So if you've got a use case where it's a hotel and you're putting one in every room and you actually want to use this to connect to a digital touchpad for hotel services, you can do that. I forgot to mention that it can also output PoE. So it can support PoE devices. So it can actually not only provide data to that touchpad, it can also power the touchpad. So any in-room PoE devices that you would want to support, this product can support it. It can support up to 2 devices, up to 2 802.3 AF devices, by the way, as long as you give it the suitable power source. And I'm not going to go too deep on the technical specs on what's required to support that use case. We do have data sheets that'll tell you exactly what you need to do to enable that. But you have to have a suitable amount of power going into the product in order for you to output the power. So that's the in-wall desk mount access point. Lastly, on this list is our AP27, and that's going to be our outdoor access point, IP67 rated. So it has complete protection against dust, moisture, rain. You can have it directly deployed with exposure to the elements. You don't have to make sure that it's under a covered area or what have you. It can be directly exposed because the IP rating is so high on this access point. It's got a plastic ABS front with a aluminum backplate, which offers a very good thermal regulation on the product. So the product can operate from -40 degrees all the way up to 149 degrees. So this is going to be definitely your outdoor warrior if you've got any type of use case where you're deploying outdoors, whether it's a park, maybe an outdoor plaza, maybe in a larger residential home, you've got a backyard that you want to cover. This would be a great product to do that, and it's really well above and beyond a lot of our competitors in this space. And I actually have a slide that I will go to talk a little bit more deeply about the AP27. But I have to say that the design on this access point, compared to anything else that I've seen on the market for an outdoor access point in this space, it's just so good. So I'm actually very excited about this new product. So I'm going to forward through these slides, but I'm going to focus on the AP27. So here you can see what the AP27 looks like. If you actually held it in your hand, you can see that it's much more robust than anything else on the market, probably 2 times the size, right? Roughly. It's very nice because it's got a wall mount. You can buy a pole mount separately if you want to mount it on a pole as well. So we do support those 2 options. We have support for a Kensington lock. So if you want to add an additional layer of physical security to make sure that somebody doesn't steal the access point off of a wall or off of a pole, you can do that with the Kensington lock. We also include a ground connection, which isn't always common for an outdoor unit. So that ground connection is very, very, very nice because it will allow you to connect to a ground source in case the access point gets struck by lightning or it has some kind of electrical discharge that it's exposed to. That energy will have somewhere to go. It can go to the ground. Otherwise, what's going to likely happen is that it's going to travel down the Ethernet wire and back to your network equipment wherever it is, which is not good, right? That it's a possibility that your network equipment is going to get fried because of that extra energy. But it's very, very nice that we include a ground connection here on the aluminum backplate built into the product, so you don't have to buy an additional filter or an additional inline surge protector essentially on the Ethernet line. It's all built into the product. Okay, so that's it for the wireless. I know that was a lot. I went through very, very quickly. I'm going to move on now to the wired portfolio. Oh, here we go. So here's a nice overview of the wired portfolio. As I mentioned, we didn't change much from last year. other than one particular new switch that we launched in November of last year. So I will talk specifically about that. But before I do that, I just want to give everyone a quick overview of what we have for the SMB market. And as you can see from left to right, it's going to go from more basic use cases to more advanced use cases. If you need a switch, just a box with ports, you don't need any kind of configuration, you can go with our 1430 series, which is completely unmanaged. From there, if you want to dip your toes into cloud management of a switch, you would start with the 1830 series. This is going to be your most cost-effective route for a cloud managed switch. I do want to point out that in order to hit the lower price point for the 1830 series, there are some concessions that we had to make on the product compared to our 1930 and our 1960 series. So there's some differentiation there. The 1830 series for the PoE versions of that switch, you're only going to support PoE on half of the ports. So for example, if you've got a 1830 8-port PoE switch, it's going to support 4 ports PoE and 4 ports non-PoE. And that's the same thing with the 24 and the 48 port. For example, the 48 port will have 24 ports of PoE and 24 ports of non-PoE. And that gives you kind of a better price point against the 1930 and the 1960 series. So that's going to be the biggest differentiation between those. If you want to get into more high performance on the switching side, that's when you're going to start stepping up to a 1930 series. Our 1930 series for the 24 and 48 port versions support 4 10 gig SFP plus uplinks. So that gives you a really good way to make a high-speed 10 gig interconnect between the switches if you wanted to, or if you wanted to connect it to other 10 gig devices on your network, you can do that as well. We sell transceivers, 10 gig transceivers. So if you want to do that using fiber, or whether you want to use that using a direct attached cable, you can do that with the 1930 series. And then lastly, the 1960 series, I like to call this like the Lamborghini of our wired portfolio. This is going to be when you need absolute 10 gig performance for the use case. And that could be a use case for a corporate office where you've got compute servers and storage servers where you need to enable high-speed connections to those resources. That's where you would go with the 1960 series. The 1960 series supports both 10 gig copper and 10 gig SFP plus on the uplink ports. So it gives you that flexibility if you want to use Cat6, or whether you want to use, again, a transceiver, a fiber transceiver, or a direct attached cable to do the stacking. And another nice feature on the 1960 series is that we support stacking of up to 4 switches automatically. So when you onboard up to 4 switches into our cloud, you can select which switches you want to stack together, and it'll do that configuration automatically for you. It's almost like a wizard. So instead of typically going in and creating your link aggregation groups and yada yada yada, this the 1960 series will actually do all of that for you. So if you've got additional links between switches, it handles all of that for you. It prevents loops, and basically it's easy mode for stacking, which is really nice. Okay. One switch that I will talk about in the 1960 series is a new switch that we launched last year. The reason why I want to point this switch out is because it's our first 2.5 gig switch in our wire portfolio. So it's got 12 ports of PoE. 4 of those ports support 2.5 gig, and 8 of those ports support 1 gig. So it's actually a great complement to the AP25 or the AP32. Both of those access points have 2.5 gig uplinks. So if you want to maximize the performance of the access point and its ability to get all of the Wi-Fi traffic back to the wired network, then this is the switch that you would want to use. So you can use those 4 2.5 gig ports for, again, the AP25 or the AP32, and then you can use the rest of the PoE ports for AP22s. So it works really well if you've got like a medium-sized AP deployment where you want to make sure that you get the most performance out of those access points. Okay, and lastly on the list here, we have our Instinon branded transceivers. These transceivers are fully validated to work with our Instinon switches. We do not do anything to prevent third-party transceivers from being used with our switches, but if you have a problem, if that third-party transceiver is not linking up, or is sporadic or what have you, our tech support will not be able to help you with that problem. But if you buy an Instant-On branded transceiver, number one, they're fully validated to work already. Number two, if you do have a problem with that transceiver, our tech support will be able to help you troubleshoot. And I do want to highlight here 3 new transceivers that we're introducing into the portfolio. The current portfolio, as you can see here, has options for multi-mode fiber, and then also 2 direct attach cables. But what we're adding with these 3 new SKUs is that we're adding single mode fiber options, right? So if you want to use longer distance single mode fiber, you could do that. And then also if you want to just convert that SFP+ port to a 10 gig copper port, you can also do that with the new transceiver. Okay, I think that's all that I have for the portfolio. Hopefully that was helpful for everyone, and it gave everybody a quick refresh on what we have today. And with that, I'll pass it back to Julie for questions.
Thank you, David. We enjoyed that presentation very, very much. And yes, I do have some questions for you. So let's get started. First question here. Here we go. How does Aruba Instant-On address the challenge of remote work and bring your own device environment?
That's a really good question. I think now more than ever, remote work and having a proper home office is so important, right? To support hybrid work or remote work. I work remotely myself, and so it's really, really important for me to have a high-speed network for my house. I actually am running an AP25, which is the highest capacity Wi-Fi 6 access point that we have. I'm running it on the 2nd floor of my home, covering 2,000 square feet, and it covers the entire house, right? It can reach my home office. It can reach the Ring doorbell in the front. It can reach all of the IP cameras that I have around the house. So I would say that having a very good price point for the hardware quality that you're getting, something that you would find in an enterprise corporate office, I think that's the key for Instant-On. I haven't seen any speed bottlenecks since I've deployed the AP25. It's been able to cover everything. I have about maybe 30 to 40 devices in my network at all times because of all the smart home devices. So it's just the people that use the AP25 are just so happy with the reliability. They never run into any issues when they've deployed it. So that's kind of the way I feel that we addressed this market with Aruba Instant-On, giving you a high quality product, a very reliable and a very performant product for a pretty good price point compared to buying a $3,000 enterprise product. Number 2, I did show you the AP22D, which is the kind of the semi-directional access point that we have in our portfolio. I'm actually using that also in my home office, and the way that I've used it speaks directly to remote work and hybrid work. I'm able to use the AP22D to create a mesh connection back to my AP25 wirelessly. So that way I can get Ethernet ports into the room without having to drop an Ethernet wire from the router from the network closet, through the attic, back down into the walls, and having to drill and all of that. I'm able to use the AP22D for that use case. So that's actually really nice too for remote work.
Thank you very much, David. Appreciate that. Let's go on to question number 2. Here we go. How frequently does Aruba Instant-On receive updates, and how are these updates delivered?
Great question. So as I mentioned, a lot of our hardware is already battle tested, right? So when we launch the product and you onboard the product for the first time, it will do a quick update to the release firmware. But from there, we rarely have additional SKU specific updates unless there's a vulnerability that we need to address, like an unexpected vulnerability. But other than that, it's not very often that you will have to see a SKU specific update. We do update our cloud platform though. Our cloud platform is always evolving, and our cadence for updates is usually 3 to 6 months for a cloud update. And when that happens, the update will come in automatically. It'll notify you on mobile or through email that there's an update that's ready to go. And when that happens, you have the ability to push out that update up to 4 weeks, depending on when you want to run that. At the same time, you have the ability to select the day and the time that you prefer for the update to happen as well. And that's already predefined, but you can go in and tweak that to a better time to your choosing. I think the default is like Sunday at 3 a.m. in the morning or something like that, right? A time where nobody's really using the network. But you can set that up. So that'd be the first thing to do. Set up the day and the time that you prefer, where it'll have the least interruption in your business. And then secondly, when that update does come in, you have the ability to push it out 4 weeks.
Thank you so much, David. Next question here for you. Can you discuss the role of artificial intelligence or machine learning, if it's applicable, of course, in Aruba Instant On's functionality?
So right now, I would say we may have some AI technology in the background that I'm not aware of. But as far as having like an assistant, like a chat GPT like assistant or anything like that, or anything that relies very heavily on AI, we don't have anything on the roadmap yet, but that's always something that we're considering for the future. And that's the real nice thing about Aruba Instant On, because we are a part of Aruba Enterprise. Aruba Enterprise uses a lot of AI already in what they do, and a lot of that trickles down to Aruba Instant On. You just may not see it because it's in the background. But I would say for a specific feature that's extremely heavy on AI, right now we don't have anything in the works, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do have it in a year or two. Because we are able to leverage that enterprise experience and bring that down to Aruba Instant On.
Thank you, David. Very interesting. Thank you. Okay, next question. How does Aruba Instant On handle quality of service for different types of applications?
Oh, great question. So we've got a lot of options inside the cloud to address that. There are some options that optimize for video streaming and that type of traffic. So you'd have to go into the options and just kind of play around to see what works best for you. We do also offer a very, very light content blocking service that's completely free to use, but it comes with predefined categories. So if you wanted to prevent that type of content or that type of application in your network, you can actually do that inside our platform for free. Now, if you wanted something more granular, like blocking a specific URL port or blocking a specific application, we can't do that with the free service that we provide, but we work with all of the third parties that do.
Thank you so much, David. Couple more questions. Next one here is, what is the strategy for firmware updates ensuring long-term relevance of Aruba Instant On devices?
So I think I mentioned it, in our conversation about the timing of the firmware updates. Again, this platform is always evolving. We're always improving. We're always adding to it. Again, the cadence of that is like 3 to 6 months for every cloud update. And we have a policy of making sure that your product is always up to date automatically, right? Which is why when that update comes in and you're notified, you can push it out to 4 weeks, but you can't delay it forever because we want to make sure that everyone is running on the latest, everyone's got the latest security patches, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of how we ensure the longevity of the device. I know other competitors kind of allow you to manage the firmware, manually, I should say, where you can be on a very, very old firmware if you wanted to, but we designed the system so that that won't be the case, right? Because you never know when a security issue will occur. We want to make sure everybody's running on the latest at all times.
Thank you, David, for that. Almost done here. 2 more questions. Next one, how does Aruba Instant On support network segmentation and isolation for enhanced security?
Sure. So on the switching side, of course, that's going to be VLANs, right? So you have if you have a network that you're designing and you want to separate, individual switch ports, you're gonna look towards VLAN. In terms of the wireless access points, we do have options where, for example, when you're setting up a guest network, we populate all of the default settings for you to try to make it as easy as possible. But you could go in and start tweaking granularly. But the gist of it is that when you're creating like a guest network, you're essentially isolating all the clients from each other so they can't communicate with each other. And you do also have the option to, I guess in a sense, make it a NAT routing situation where that particular wireless SSID acts as its own DHCP server, gives out its own IP addresses, and that will additionally segment you from the rest of the network. And you can lock it down even further by saying that everybody in that network can only talk to the gateway and not talk to the rest of the network. So you've got a lot of options that you can play with in our system to isolate.
Thank you so much, David. And last but not least, can you give us an overview of product warranties?
Yeah, definitely. So as I mentioned, for the access points, the warranty is 2 years. So that includes hardware and support. If you have an issue with the product during that warranty period, then it'll just be a call into tech support or even the online chat. They'll verify the RMA and then they'll send you a new product. And similarly with the switches, right? Except the switches, the warranty is much longer, it's limited lifetime, but it's the same idea. And if needed, right? If needed, we do have additional support SKUs that you could buy on a per SKU basis. And what that additional support SKU does, and I didn't present it here as a slide, but what that extra, we call it foundation care, support SKU can do is that, for example, if you've got an access point that's a 2-year warranty, we sell our foundation care in 3-year and 5-year packs. So if you bought the 3-year version of foundation care for an access point, that warranty changes from 2 years to 3 years. And you get 24/7 phone support for the entirety of that 3 years. And on top of that, you get next business day RMA guaranteed. If you don't buy that foundation care, the standard warranty is basically best effort for us to get a product out to you. But if you've got very strict requirements, higher SLAs that you need to worry about, then I highly recommend considering the foundation care, so you can get that next business day guaranteed and also get phone support for the entirety of the warranty duration instead of just getting it for the first 90 days.
David, thank you so much for answering all those questions for us today. And also thanks to everyone for attending our webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to contact our sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please remember that this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so we can all view it again. David, so much appreciate you being with us today and educating us on all of this new and information that, some of it may have been shared before, but we'd like to keep going. And the next webinar, I will reach out to you so we can do this again and see what else is going on with Aruba Instant On. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic day.